I normally take price into consideration when I review games because a bang average game that is $60 or $70 is more of a crime than a bang average game that's $5 or $10. This is important because this game is $30 and that is going to factor in on how I feel about it. The game follows Team RWBY as they just became licensed hunters who are now going out trying to stop Grimm. For simplicity's sake, Grimm are practically monsters. That's all you really need to know. As the story progresses, they meet characters throughout the show, they do a lot of quests for them, and there is an overarching plot with a mysterious group that nobody even knows about, but they're super powerful. But there's a big issue, a pretty big caveat to that. To get to that point, to get to the first cutscene, there are side quests after side quests after side quests. And they're not actually side quests, they are main quests. But the way they are made is as if they are side quests. Go fetch grape soda for this person. Go get 2 pieces of ore so this guy can have booty armor. Go find a book for this person. This person needs a pickaxe even though they're already in the mines. And they found ore. Spoiler, kind of. This chick, she's like, oh, I came down here to excavate, but I don't have a pickaxe. You go down there, you give her a pickaxe, and she gives you ore. Can somebody please tell me how she had ore if she didn't have a pickaxe to mine it? It's stuff like that that just absolutely irritated me because there's a story that I'm trying to get to, a conspiracy of sorts, but we gotta do all this monotonous trash beforehand. Stuff that is usually optional is not optional in this game. So you fight enemies, you go to the next place, you fight enemies, you go to the next place. Whenever you have to backtrack, even within a level, whenever you have to backtrack, the enemies respawn, so you have to fight them again, which wouldn't be too bad if there was an XP system, but there's not. Leveling is based on skill points. The only way to get these skill points is by opening chests, which these chests could contain the items that you actually need for the quest, but instead they got skill points in them, which makes it absolutely aggravating when you open one and you get a skill point, especially due to the fact that they don't really do anything. But the other way to get them is that you can spend 100 gold in order to buy one, and you can just keep buying them and buying them and buying them until you max out your little squad. But there's not really a reason to max out your squad anyway, because the leveling system, the progression system is completely and utterly fruitless. You get one character. I chose Blake because she's OP with her shadow. You choose one character and then you put all the skill points into them, and then you never have to switch, because if you switch, your health regeneration is affected by it, which is stupid. Because if I switch back to Blake after being Weiss, and I get completely screwed over as Weiss, take a lot of damage, and then I decide, okay, let's be Blake, now I can regenerate health. But I couldn't before. The progression should be party-based if this is the kind of game we're gonna have. The health progression when it comes to healing your energy, because your energy is what you have that allows you to take damage before you lose a heart. In order to gain that back, that is something you have to upgrade for each and every character depending on when you use them. So Blake is the only one that I use for combat because she's the only one that actually matters. The rest of them are just pointless until you gotta do forced platforming, which is an issue in and of itself. Before we get to that though, the upgrades you have is you can upgrade the energy regeneration, which whenever you shoot your gun, your energy goes down, which makes you vulnerable to attacks and take more damage, which makes shooting a gun completely pointless. You can upgrade your attack, which I don't even know if it does anything. I know that some of the characters do die faster now that Blake is completely upgraded, but that's about it. It's minimal to say the least. You can upgrade your defense, which again, it doesn't really reflect within the gameplay. I have no idea. She's maxed, so I don't really see the difference, and it kind of makes it feel even more unrewarding. There's something else you can upgrade too, but I completely forget what it is because that's how important it is. And that's all you got for all 4 characters. As the game progresses, people will give you upgrades by teaching you them. Nothing really happens, you just get, oh, upgraded, and that is for your special ability. And your special abilities are mostly just used for that platforming I was talking about. The platforming is rough. It's bare bones, lackluster platforming you've seen in a million other games, but they try to spice things up by giving each of the characters a power. They're still powers we've seen before, but they're all in one game, so maybe that's special to you, I don't know. Weiss can make a platform that she can jump on and then jump onto things to make her be able to jump higher. It's kind of like a double jump with extra steps. RWBY has an air dash, so she can get from one place to the other quicker. Blake has a shadow clone, so she can put the clone on a switch and then walk through a door. I know, revolutionary. Yang, I think is her name. I haven't watched the show since season 7, don't come at me. But her ability is she just punches the ground and some of the walls can break. And I've only used it, I think, maybe twice the entire game so far. It's nothing special, and the only one that is even slightly useful in combat is Blake's, and that is why she is maxed out. So that's what your platforming is, and it is absolutely frustrating because some of the moments, like you can jump and place a platform and it'll be immediately under Weiss. But if they want to keep you unable to access a certain area, they'll make it so that platform spawns somewhere random, somewhere that's completely unhelpful instead of directly under you like it does every other time, just so it can artificially keep you from progressing. There's no speed running this baby, you gotta go and do them stupid quests. Oh, it's so cheap. It is absolutely cheap. It is worse than invisible walls because it is legitimately going out of its way to hinder your gameplay experience, to artificially make the game longer. It is extremely cheap. And because of that, and the fact that there is no real waypoints within the map to tell you where to go, and they don't have any dialogue where they talk along the way where they're like, I don't think this is the right direction, or something simple like that, you never know exactly where you're supposed to go because you don't know what places are actually accessible at the time and which ones you're wasting your time trying to get to, because all they give you is the map, the main hub map. You got an exclamation point on the area you're supposed to go, and then that's where you're supposed to head. You go there and that's it. Now you gotta find it. You can go wherever you want, you can backtrack all over this little tiny area, and you may find where you need to be and you may not. You may need to talk to somebody, you may need to explore a new place, you may need to find a chest. You have no idea because your quests don't have a little tiny place where you can see what you're doing. And it doesn't have to be on the hub. If we kept a journal or something where we were like, oh, we need to find an artifact, we need to find freaking goggles. Yep, these are more things you gotta find. That's the entire name of the game, find things. Then at least we would know what we're supposed to do, and if we could open the map and see little tiny exclamation points on the map within the levels, that would be nice, but you can't even access a map within the levels, which is basic systems at this point. And I wouldn't need it if your platforming wasn't broken. What about the combat though? Even though it's unrewarding and you fight the same enemies for the majority of the game, even if it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for them to be in certain areas, is the combat at least fun? No, you cannot really do a lot of fun combos or anything. You hit the same button to do the same thing over and over again. Your buttons are so unnecessary on your controller that you've got multiple buttons just to switch characters. Which again is not even important in combat. Sometimes the controls are unresponsive, which also affects the platforming, but it's not as aggravating as it is when you're in the middle of combat and you're trying to jump and there's a lag. Or, even worse, you're trying to use your ability and it doesn't even do anything. The enemies all have some cheap maneuver they can do where they can go up really high in the sky where you can't even see them, like the bird things go completely off screen. You've got the ones that are invincible as long as they're charging at you. There's this really cheap section on one of the areas where they have a werewolf guy come up to the corner, and the moment you go through there, he hits you and knocks you back to the other side over and over and over again, to the point that I had to literally go around and find a new way to get there instead of through the way that I came, because he wouldn't move. He didn't spawn at a different place or anything. He was always right there ready to get me. I don't know what that was about. Whenever I went there the first time, that didn't happen, but the backtracking time, whenever I had to go all the way back to do the same thing, like the same enemies in a place that looks the exact same every single level, was just such a blast when I couldn't even go back to the start. The level design really hurts the game in that way. You're in an ice area. Cool. every time you go from one screen to the next, one portion of the level to the next portion of the level, everything still looks basically the same. And it is pretty. Their backgrounds are pretty and easy to look at. I do like their character models, especially when the text bubble comes up and their high detail right there. They look really good, and they look a lot better than the show did at the beginning, because that was some rough CGI. Again, don't come at me, but it's the truth. So although in an artistic standpoint I can say that everything looks great, when it comes to the gameplay, it's not varied enough for me to be able to tell one point from the other. Every screen looks the same when you're in an area. You're in the city, the entire city looks the exact same until you're inside of a building, and there's so many insides of a building, and the inside of that building always looks the same that you never know where you're going, which again would make the map very helpful, because you can't figure out where you're at based on locations. When you're playing Dark Souls, you don't need a map, because you know where you're at when you're there. It's the same with Bloodborne. It's a dark and dreary, desolate place, but the locations are still set apart from one another well enough that I can walk around and know where I'm at, know where I'm going, make a map within my head, and you cannot do that here. So we've got good art but bad locations, lackluster platforming, questionable button commands, rough combat, awful progression. What is good? Well, I do have to say that this is actually very inviting for both fans of RWBY and people that don't really know anything about it. It lands smack dab in the center of being open to everyone, and they did a fairly good job doing that. But that being said, it would be pretty hard to isolate people with side quests. The music is actually pretty good. I do like actually listening to the soundtrack as I play. The characters are a mix between representative of their anime quote-unquote counterpart and feeling kinda hollow as well. It's really weird because some of their lines can actually sound like something they would say, and then it could be literally the next text box that would sound like something completely out of nowhere. It's a little rough around the edges, but I don't think it was too bad. It just didn't perfectly represent the characters, you know. But that's a tall order. I think they did pretty good. The cutscenes have been pretty good, but so far there's barely been any, but when they are there, they're animated really well, and they've got some good fluid action, so I can give them credit for that as well. Too bad the gameplay doesn't really reflect that, but I know I've been really hard on this game, but it's because it had potential. And I've played a lot of anime-based games far better than this one, and I've played a lot of $30 games far better than this one. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. They could have had a map with quest markers so you know where you're going and know where you've been, so you know what your objectives are, so you have some semblance of an urgency. They could have had actual missions that you could be doing instead of a ton of fetch quests. They could have made the areas within locations differ enough from one another that you wouldn't even need the map. They could have decided not to restrict the ability to advance just to cheapen the experience by artificially adding length to a game by making it so even though you are fully capable of doing something, there's always something invisible preventing you from doing it. They could have had far deeper customization, or at least a leveling system that actually makes me feel like the things that I'm doing matter, especially when it comes to combat with enemies. Levels may just be a number, but they are a rewarding one. If you gain skill points from that, it at least feels like you're the one doing it, instead of just opening chests everywhere and finding a skill point that wouldn't actually exist within the universe, which just makes immersion break even more. They could have utilized the platforming better, give you more commands, more ways to do things, give a character double jump. Why isn't there double jump? Make it so each character's special can be useful in combat, and not just make it feel like the specials that do have useful combat things like Weiss's platform bursts into spikes all of a sudden isn't just so you have a time limit to jump on the platform and then jump where you're trying to go. It just rushes you, and it's never useful in combat due to the fact that it still has to sit there for a while being a platform. It all just feels phoned in. It feels generic. It feels like something that everybody has played before within their life with just a RWBY skin over it. It doesn't need to be RWBY. Give text bubbles that come up while you're playing, that just pop up in the corner or something that makes this feel like a team. Give them some banter, some camaraderie, some semblance of chemistry because it's not here. Help make the monsters' locations make sense so whenever they're in a place, they don't seem out of place. Add some lore to the monsters at least. Put a codex in there so you can at least read about what you're fighting. You can call things grim as much as you want, but they don't really put you in any grim situation either, because you can just kill enemies to get your hearts back because they don't drop anything besides health and hearts. So there's no challenge, there's no semblance of strategy, there's nothing to make me think. It's just a mindless, brainless, repetitive experience. And not even one that you can have fun with by turning your brain off. It is one that is just boring and barren and bleak. They try to have Ruby's big, happy-go-lucky personality there, but what is she happy about? Running from one place to the other? Oh boy. Nothing really feels earned, nothing feels real. It all just feels disappointing. They had a huge property that they could have made something out of, with numerous characters with different personalities, many great fight scenes. Even if the animation is stilted within the show, the fights are actually pretty good. They've got heart within the characters. The ones you think you won't like, you grow to like. There's just a lot of things that they could have done with a lot of things, and then they didn't. They just made this, and it just feels unnecessary. I don't recommend this to anyone, truthfully. Not at the $30 price tag. If it's ever on sale for $5 or $10 or something, and you're a fan of RWBY and you want to play as these characters, I mean, at least it'll get the job done, I suppose. But I'm not going to recommend it to you. I just can't do it. I appreciate them for giving me the key of it. As someone with a lot of respect for RWBY as a property, even though they've done and said some things within the show that I don't necessarily agree with, and they don't handle politicized topics very well, I'm truly disappointed in this game, in what it wanted to be, what it inspired to be. It could have just been a turn-based RPG, and it would have probably worked far better, because the fast-paced gameplay isn't here like the fast-paced fight scenes in the show. It's all just monotonous, slow drivel, with some pretty paint to be put on top. For more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day.